It is official. J.J. McCarthy will be QB1 for the Minnesota Vikings next season. What's going on, everybody? My name is Patrick Siepman, and welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. We got some breaking news earlier on this morning where the Vikings are officially out on the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. We have known this for a long time, but we finally got some confirmation that the Vikings will be turning the keys of the franchise over to that guy right there, J.J. McCarthy. So let's start off today's show by showing new QB1 J.J. McCarthy some love down below in the comment section. Type those nines down below if you guys want to support the new QB1. And honestly, I'm just happy this whole nonsense is over. But we still got some NFL insiders who are suggesting that the Vikings may not be officially out on Aaron Rodgers. So we'll just dive in the whole thing. But before we do so, type those nines. So Tom Pelissero at 6:57 a.m. this morning saying the Vikings have rejected multiple trade calls on J.J. McCarthy, telling other teams they're moving forward with him as their starting quarterback. The team plans to add a veteran, but they're not pursuing Aaron Rodgers at this time. McCarthy now enters the offseason as QB1. So a couple of thoughts here. It does not shock me that other teams were calling the Vikings on a J.J. McCarthy trade because they probably saw the reports coming in from Diana Rossini, Mike Silver, the whole crew over there at The Athletic saying that the Vikings have a lot of interest in Aaron Rodgers, and Diana Rossini came out and predicted that Aaron Rodgers will be playing with the Minnesota Vikings. So it makes sense that teams be like, hey, if you guys are going with Rodgers, let's just put in a trade offer for J.J. McCarthy. But the Vikings also plan to add a veteran. I'm hoping it's a guy like Joe Flacco. I've been on this for a couple weeks now, and I think it might be. But then Rap Sheet quote tweeted Tom Pelissero saying this: Vikings being out on Aaron Rodgers should help bring clarity. Now, just to the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, I think it's down to two teams, New York Giants, Pittsburgh Steelers. But this is where I'm probably going to start to get a little pissed off on today's show. Diana Rossini is still doubling down that the Vikings are still strongly considering and that they're monitoring the Aaron Rodgers situation. The Vikings have strongly considered and will continue to monitor Aaron Rodgers as an option, but they're not ready to commit at this point in the offseason. They understand this could lead to him signing elsewhere or retiring. J.J. McCarthy's spring will be key. And that little last note just got me going a little bit. Like, it got the blood flowing a little bit because everything we've heard, J.J. McCarthy, he's back over 205 pounds. He's been throwing on air. He is damn near 110%, but she is still trying to push this narrative that the Vikings coaching staff and front office have concerns about J.J. McCarthy. If they had concerns, they would have signed Sam Darnold to the exact deal the Seahawks gave him because it was necessarily just a one-year, $37 million deal. You have an easy out with no dead money. They would have just went that direction. The Vikings just won 14 games. He threw 35 touchdowns. They would have just went with Sam Darnold. And I just think she is a mouthpiece for Aaron Rodgers and his camp, and she has no real info coming from the Vikings organization. And then she doubled down on it, saying there's no in or out on Rodgers from Minnesota. They're simply not making a decision at this time. Now we wait to see what Aaron Rodgers wants to do. So you're telling me, Diana, that the Vikings aren't in or out. They're just saying, hey, right now, where it stands, we're just not going to pursue Aaron Rodgers. That's the Vikings saying they are out. And I want to get this out here. And The Athletic has been terrible this offseason when it comes to covering the Minnesota Vikings. Not Alec Lewis. Love Alec Lewis. He is my favorite beat reporter in the game covering the Vikes. But Mike Silver, Diana Rossini, they have just been mouthpieces for Aaron Rodgers and his camp because I'm sure Rodgers, he wants to come play for the Minnesota Vikings. It's his best chance to go out on top in his NFL career. So they're probably getting all this info from Rodgers' camp saying, oh, the Vikings are considering us. I promise you, this was a quick conversation the Vikings had in that front office. I'm sure Kevin O'Connell really had to think about it because Rodgers is a four-time MVP. He has won a Super Bowl. And if a guy like that's on the open market, even if he's 41 years old, had a torn Achilles, hasn't played good football since 2021, you still have to consider it. And, Diana, I thought Darnold was returning. Mike Silver, he tweeted that out. Sam Darnold will return to the Minnesota Vikings. Diana was all over it. And then I also thought Aaron Rodgers. I was hearing he was a Viking. Diana hopped on a Pittsburgh radio station and gave her prediction on where Aaron Rodgers was going to go. And she said the Minnesota Vikings. This wasn't just her, going out there and, giving off information that she's hearing from Rodgers' camp. No, she made a flat-out prediction that she thinks Aaron Rodgers will end up in the Minnesota Vikings. So my new rule, I will not be taking what any NFL insiders say about the Vikings seriously anymore because it's not just this offseason. It is the past 2 off seasons. We heard Kirk Cousins. The Vikings really want him back. They're going to extend him on a 3 to 4 year deal, $100 million guaranteed. That was ludicrous. That was a BS report. And then this offseason, it started with the Sam Darnold situation. Oh, the Vikings aren't happy with J.J. McCarthy. Maybe that injury is a little more extreme than we thought. They did not re-sign Sam Darnold, and then it shifted to Aaron Rodgers. Oh, I'm calling it. Aaron Rodgers will be with the Minnesota Vikings. Like, they just have no idea what they're talking about. And listen, I'm not saying they're, getting – I mean, I will say they're probably getting bad information, but it's not like their fault for just reporting it, but just add some context to it. Like, just have more self-awareness about the situation. Like, you're not just getting a report and it's like, oh, that's the end-all, be-all. That's what's going to happen. Like, I just wish Diana and Mike Silver would just look at the whole situation and really understand – the Vikings, their whole plan is to get a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal and build a stacked roster around him. This has been Kwesi's plan starting 4 years ago when he was hired as the GM. I think it's just awful reporting, and I'm so happy. This is the last video we're talking about it here on the channel. No more Aaron Rodgers, and we can, again, show J.J. McCarthy some more love on today's show. I want to see 1,000 nines down below in the comments section because our QB1 – he's officially here, and I, couldn't be happier, man. As JJ went to my high school in Chicago, and now he's going to be, freaking QB1 for my favorite football team. I'm fired up. So type those nines down below in the comments section. Now, a lot of people were making the argument of, maybe Aaron Rodgers gives the Vikings a better chance to just win in 2025. I think that's ludicrous. I think J.J. McCarthy gives us just as good of a chance, and if not better. I'll be explaining to you guys why here in a second. But before we do so, I want to give a massive shout-out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. If you guys download the Prize Picks app today and plug in promo code CLNS, you guys will get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today, plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Now, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Now, if you guys are trying to make a Timberwolves or a Minnesota Wild game more interesting during the tail half of their season, creating a Prize Picks lineup is a great way to do so. Put your basketball or hockey knowledge to the test and create a Prize Picks lineup for every Timberwolves, every Wild game, and you guys can put some cash in your back pocket. So download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in promo code CLNS. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the Prize Picks app today. Plug in that promo code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. A massive shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Got that link for you guys in the comment section and description. But shout out to Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, so why to believe in the Minnesota Vikings? And I think the first one is the most obvious one. The roster's loaded, top to bottom, all 53. This is one of the most talented rosters, not just in the NFC, but in the entire league. Like, you look at the weapons on the outside, in the trenches, and all their free agency additions. Like, this truly is one of the best rosters. And it was funny, Colin Cowherd, he was giving his predictions for the NFC North, and he goes, the Vikings have the worst roster in the NFC North. I just don't know how you can cover the NFL and legitimately say that. This team won 14 games, and they added 2 elite offensive linemen, 2 elite interior defensive linemen, which were their 2 weakest positions, and they're getting Christian Darrisaw back. Lost a lot of respect for Colin once he said that. Just how do you cover the league and truly believe that? But also, it's not just the roster. You got to have the coaching staff, and the Vikings have that. Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores might be – I think it's for sure a top 5, like offensive mind, defensive mind, 1-2 punch in the National Football League. You probably still got to give the credit to Andy Reid and Spags over there in Kansas City. But in terms of just an elite offensive mind, elite defensive mind, the Vikings got that. Brian Flores kind of stinks, but he'll probably get a head coaching job next offseason when this Vikings defense is top 3 in the league in every statistical category this upcoming year. And, the Vikings, I always felt like they were more of a finesse football team under Kevin O'Connell. How do you change your culture from being a finesse to a physical culture? You go add physical football players. And they did that. Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave, Will Fries, Ryan Kelly. Big interior offensive and defensive linemen that adds some physicality. And even a guy like Jordan Mason, like bringing him in, a physical running back. Like, they have kind of started the think more about December and January football instead of October, November, and September football, in my opinion. But also, I think the Vikings, the weapons they got on the outside are some of the best in the National Football League. I mean, you got the best weapon in Justin Jefferson. I think TJ Hawkinson, if the Vikings decide to keep him on the team, I still maybe think there's a chance they trade him, but again, less than 2% in my opinion, but he should have a monster bounce back season. Jordan Addison, he's getting better every single year. And, you brought in Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones is back. You got an elite offensive line. Like, you got great playmakers in the secondary as well. Like, this team on every single level, both sides of the field, is loaded. And the last reason, it's the quarterback. It's J.J. McCarthy. I am a big believer in this kid. He has everything you would want in a franchise quarterback. Like, I truly, truly believe that, bottom of my heart. He has all the intangibles, all the tangibles you want. Freak athlete, can touch every blade of grass on a football field with his wicked strong arm. He's a great playmaker. That's one thing I do think gets undervalued with him, is just a backyard football style of play that he has when he's escaping the pocket, trying to make a play. I mean, you go throw on his tape. It is ridiculous, some of the throws he made for Michigan. But everybody sees the Penn State game where he didn't throw the ball in the second half. Everybody sees the national championship where he didn't need to throw the football. Well, with the Minnesota Vikings, and for the 4 reasons above, it's not like we're going to ask J.J. McCarthy to do so much. And when Colin Cowherd said, when he was giving his NFC North predictions, Vikings finishing last back-to-back seasons, by the way, and he was completely wrong about this football team last season, I just don't how you could legitimately look America in the eyes and say the Vikings have the worst roster in the NFC North. I actually, that makes 0 sense to me. Like, it's not even like that's like a hot take. Like, that's just an awful take. It has no substance behind it. And the fact that that guy is just spewing that out there, I honestly love it, because you go look on DraftKings odds to win the NFC North. Hey, Vikings are dead last still. We were dead last last year. Nobody gave us a shot because, J.J. McCarthy is this huge unknown. You have a stacked 53-man roster around him. He will be all right, and I can't wait to prove this guy wrong yet again. So one more time for the road here. Type those 9s yet again. I better see 1,000 9s down below in the comment section if you guys want to help me out. Show QB1 JJ McCarthy some love. And also, you guys can hit me up on Twitter at Pat Siepman, the Twitter handle. And appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Enjoy March Madness. We will be live here on the channel at about 4 p.m. Central Time. So tune in then. See you guys next time. Let's go Vikes.